of the Code of Conduct Tribunal. Mr. President, with your permission,
From the
I wish to move the motion.
Removal from office. Removal from office.
Yes. Yes, Mr.
You didn't add that word, removal from office.
Removal from office of the chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal.
Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, motion on the invocation of the provision of Section 157, Sub 1 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, for the removal from office of the chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal. The Senate notes that the Code of Conduct Tribunal is one of the key components of federal institutions in the country, saddled with the sacred statutory responsibilities of maintaining high standard of morality in the conduct of government business and to ensure that the actions and behavior of public officers conform to the highest standards of public morality and accountability. The Senate also notes that a statutory institution of such magnitude is expected to be an epitome of moral rectitude and should be seen to uphold the virtues of integrity, probity, and accountability. However, the official conduct of Mr. Yakubu Danladi Umar, who is the chairman of the tribunal, has fallen short of the requisite standard of a public officer to conduct the affairs of such tribunal. Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, both in the 9th Senate and in the ongoing 10th Senate, several petitions were written to the Senate regarding the conduct of the chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal, including his personal involvement in a public brawl resulting in the assault of a young Nigerian trader at the Banex Plaza in Abuja, in the Federal Capital Territory. It's also on record, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, that the 9th Senate referred petitions in this regard to its Committee on Ethics and Public Petition, in respect of which Mr. Danladi, Chairman, Code of Conduct Tribunal, was invited by the Public Petitions Committee on behalf of the Senate. And after his first appearance before the committee saddled with investigating the contents of the petition, it's on record that Mr. Danladi refused to attend subsequent sittings and public hearings of the Public Petitions Committee, thereby frustrating the genuine attempt of the committee to investigate the allegations. The Senate also recalls that by virtue of the provisions of Section 157, subsection 1 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, acting on an address supported by two-thirds majority of the Senate, praying that he be so removed as chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal for inability to discharge the functions of the office arising from misconduct, that the President, upon such address, supported by 2/3 of this distinguished Senate, shall so remove him from office. And the Senate also affirms that the invocation of the aforementioned constitutional provision in this circumstance seems to be the only way out to safeguard the sacred image of the Code of Conduct Tribunal, in line with the resolve of the 10th Senate to uphold the rule of law and sustain the ideals of corporate governance structure in Nigeria. Accordingly, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, the Senate resolves to invoke and activate the constitutional provision as enshrined in Section 157, subsection 1, by forwarding an address supported by 2/3 majority of the Senate, which shall be acted upon by Mr. President for the official removal from office of Mr. Yakubu Danladi Umar as the chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal. Mr. President, I so move.
Minority Leader.
Distinguished colleagues, I support the motion that the Senate invokes the provisions of Section 157 in the process of the removal of the chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal. I so second.
The matter has been thoroughly discussed in the executive session, and there was a unanimous support for the motion. Full support. Nobody abstained or nobody, no one that did not support this motion. It's in that respect that I call on you to put the question so that we can move forward, Mr. President. Agreed in support of this motion. I just want to put it on record.
Okay.
84.
Okay.
So you can put the question, Mr. President. I humbly call on you to put the
Thank
question.
you. Because I actually wanted to find out from the chief whip of the Senate if we have the number.
Yes, sir.
To proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Borno North Senatorial District. Mr. President, distinguished senators, as the chief whip of the Senate, I want to officially confirm that 74 senators have signed the register while 10 senators are present. And by our tradition, 10 leadership, by our tradition, leadership don't sign the register. So 74 plus 10 makes 84, and therefore we have gotten the required constitutional requirement to proceed.
Thank you. So I want to thank you for your deliberations, even in the executive session. And I've noted here that we have the quorum to invoke Section 157, subsection 1, removing the chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal from office for misconduct and for acts unbecoming of the holder of such an office. I've also noted from your contributions that ample opportunities were given to him to defend himself, and he appeared, and in his opinion, he did not need to continue any defense of himself, which is not the business of the Senate, but at least the admission of his misdemeanor and misconduct, or even fighting with a female at the Barnacks Plaza is an act that is unbecoming of somebody who is supposed to watch over the conduct of public officers in our dear nation. Accordingly, I want to put the question. Is there any senator who is opposed to the removal from office of Ms. Dalandi Umar as chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal for acts unbecoming of the holder of such office? None. Is it the view of the Senate? Will the Senate now confirm the invocation and activation of the constitutional provision of Section 157, subsection 1, as enshrined in our 1999 Constitution as amended, removing the chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal from office as a result of acts of misconduct and acts unbecoming of the holder of such an office? Those in support of this motion say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Accordingly, Mr. Dalandi Umar is hereby removed in line with Section 157, subsection 1 of the Nigerian Constitution as the chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal. The Clerk of Senate is mandated to forward an address of this resolution by the Senate, which is above 2/3, to Mr. President for further necessary action. Leader of the Senate.
Distinguished senators, in view of the other legislative activities slated for this afternoon and the various committee meetings that distinguished chairmen and members of those committees will need to attend, I rise to move that we suspend other legislative activities till another legislative day on the other paper and adjourn to enable distinguished colleagues attend to the other legislative activities slated for the day. And in that wise, Mr. President, that we adjourn the sitting of the Senate till Thursday, 21st day of November 2024 at 11 a.m. I so move, Mr. President.
Mr. 11 o'clock for the next legislative day. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, before I put the question, I just have two major announcements. Number one is that there will be an emergency meeting of the People's Democratic Party. People's Democratic Party caucus in the Senate. I don't know which faction. As follows: date 20th day of November 2024, which is today, at 3 p.m. in Senate Room 4, Senate Room 4.14. Please, I don't want to know which faction, please. I don't want to know. This announcement is from the faction of the minority leader, the Swiss Senator Abamoro, at 3 p.m., room 414. The second announcement is that is from the Swiss Senator Ekong Samson. It should actually have been from me. That Mrs. Patience Oluwakemi Umoeno, the wife of the governor of Akpabio State, Governor Umoeno, will be laid to rest on November 29th, 2024 at 10 a.m. in her husband's country home in Akpabio State in Surubio. Distinguished senators are invited to attend and to pay their last respect. I think properly we'll do the needful tomorrow so we can observe a minute silence in her honor. But in the meantime, on your behalf, may her soul rest in peace. Is it the view of the Senate that all other items on the order paper be suspended for the day, and this Senate should stand adjourned to Thursday, the 21st day of November, 2024 at 11 a.m. prompt. Those in support of the motion as moved and seconded that we do suspend other items on the order paper and adjourn accordingly to Thursday, accordingly, the Senate is hereby adjourned.
Who's coming? Yes. You go release me again. Come in follow. That's my leave. Your Excellency.